Title: Why Is She Crying on This Plane? He Promised Love, then Disappeared. Part 1. The girl in 18A. The cabin lights were dim, the kind airlines used to make people sleepy and quiet. The plane had already leveled off above the clouds, and the steady hum of the engines wrapped everything in a soft, constant noise. Most passengers were settled in, headphones in, blankets up, eyes closed. But in row 18, seat A, someone was awake. She was trying her hardest not to be noticed. Her hoodie was pulled up. Her curls were tucked inside like she wanted to disappear into herself. Her face was turned toward the window, but the window was dark, just black sky and faint reflections. And still, tears kept slipping down her cheeks. Not loud, not dramatic. Just silent, unstoppable tears that soaked the edge of her sleeve as she kept wiping them away like it was a habit she'd practiced 1,000 times. The man in 18 billion glanced over twice, then tried to focus on his movie. He wasn't rude, just unsure. People cried for all kinds of reasons on planes. Fear, loss, breakups, goodbyes, bad news, life. But this felt different. She wasn't panicking, she looked wrecked. Like something had been torn out of her, and the only thing holding her together was sheer willpower. A flight attendant passed through the aisle, pushing the beverage cart softly. When she got to row 18, she paused. "Hi, sweetheart," she said gently, lowering her voice. "Can I get you anything? Water, tea?" The girl nodded quickly, eyes down. "Water, please." Her voice came out cracked, like she hadn't spoken in hours, maybe days. The flight attendant handed her a cup and a small bottle, then hesitated. "Are you okay?" The girl tried to smile, but it fell apart halfway. She shook her head once. "No, but it's fine. People always said that. It's fine." Nothing was fine. She took a sip, then looked down at her phone again. The screen lit up her face for a second, revealing a name at the top of the chat. Jayden. Read. Her thumb hovered over the message thread like she was about to type something she'd typed 100 times already. "Where are you? Please answer. Just tell me the truth. Don't do this to me." But she didn't send anything, because the last message was from him, and it was the kind of message that turned your stomach cold. "Jayden, I can't do this anymore. Don't look for me." That was it. No explanation, no call, no goodbye, just a door slammed in her face after he'd sworn he would never leave. She stared at the words until her eyes burned again. Then she locked the phone, held it in both hands like it was the only thing she had left, and pressed her forehead to it. A small sound escaped her throat, like a broken breath. The man in 18 billion finally leaned over slightly, careful not to invade her space. "Miss, you want me to call the attendant? Are you hurt or something?" She turned her face away quickly, embarrassed, wiping her cheeks. "No," she whispered. "I'm sorry, I'm okay." But she wasn't. Her name was Aaliyah Brooks. She was 18 years old, and she was flying alone for the first time in her life, not for vacation, not for college, not for anything exciting. She was running from a love that had promised to save her and then vanished like smoke. The promise 3 months earlier, Aaliyah had believed in love the way little kids believed in magic, not because life had been kind to her, it hadn't. She grew up in a small apartment where the walls were thin and the bills were loud. Her mom worked doubles. Her dad wasn't around. And most days, Aaliyah learned early that hope was something you held carefully, because if you gripped it too tightly, it broke. So when Jayden came into her life, it felt like the universe finally stopped laughing. He was older, 21, smooth talker, pretty smile, the kind of guy who made people turn their heads when he walked into a room. And when he looked at her, he made her feel chosen, like she mattered. He'd found her working part-time at a cafe near the bus station. She was wiping tables, tired, hair tied back, trying to get through her shift without someone yelling at her. He'd walked up like he already knew her. "You always look like you're carrying the whole world," he said. She rolled her eyes. "Maybe I am," he smiled. "Then let me carry some of it." Corny, simple. But something about the way he said it made her chest feel warm. He came back the next day, and the next. And soon, he wasn't just a customer, he was her escape. He told her she was beautiful in ways no one ever had. Told her she was special, told her she was different. And then came the line he repeated like a prayer, "I'm not like other dudes. If I say I love you, I mean it." Aaliyah wanted to believe that so badly, so she did. The trip then Jaden told her about a fresh start. I got a job opportunity out of state, he said one night, sitting on the hood of his car under streetlights. It's good money, real future type stuff. Aaliyah's heart jumped. Where? He named a city she'd never been to. I want you to come with me, he said, taking her hands. We can start over, new place, new life, no drama, just us. Aaliyah laughed nervously. Jaden, I can't just leave. Yes, you can, he said quickly. You're 18, you can do what you want. Her stomach flipped. She'd never done what she wanted. Her whole life was built around surviving, not dreaming. Jaden squeezed her hands harder. You told me you wanted more than this. You told me you wanted to get out. Aaliyah swallowed. I do. Then trust me, he said. I got you, I promise. That word again, promise. He said it like it was unbreakable, like it was sacred. And for the first time in her life, Aaliyah felt like maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to be alone anymore, so she said yes. The night before, she packed a small suitcase. Didn't tell many people, just her mom. Her mom didn't yell, she didn't cry. She just stared at her like she was watching her walk into a storm. Baby, her mom said softly, you don't know that boy like you think you do. Aaliyah's voice shook. Mom, he loves me. Her mom's eyes were tired. Love don't need to rush you. Love don't need to hide. Aaliyah got defensive. We're not hiding, we're just starting over. Her mom exhaled like she'd lived too long to argue. I can't stop you, she said. But please, if anything feels wrong, you call me immediately. I will, Aaliyah promised, and she meant it. That night, Jaden texted her, Jaden, tomorrow is the day. I can't wait to hold you and never let go. Aaliyah stared at the message, smiling, heart pounding. She fell asleep believing she was about to be loved the way she always needed. The airport the next day, she got to the airport early. Jaden told her he'd meet her at the gate. I'm running late, he texted. Security line crazy. Aaliyah waited, suitcase beside her, checking her phone every few seconds. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 40, she called him. No answer, she tried again, nothing. Her hands started shaking. Then a message finally came through. Jaden, I can't do this anymore, don't look for me. She read it once, twice, 10 times. Like maybe the words would rearrange into something that made sense. Her throat tightened. She called him again, straight to voicemail. She ran to the bathroom and threw up. Then she sat on the cold tile floor, trying to breathe, trying not to fall apart. People were laughing outside, rolling luggage, families taking selfies, and Aaliyah was trapped in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Her flight started boarding in 15 minutes. She had no idea what to do. Go home and face her mom's, I told you so. Go back to the life she'd just tried to escape. Or get on the plane anyway, because she had already bought the ticket, already made the decision, already stepped too far off the edge. She stared at her boarding pass. Seat 18A, she wiped her face, stood up, and walked onto the plane like a ghost. Now 30,000 feet back in seat 18A, Aaliyah's tears wouldn't stop because it wasn't just heartbreak. It was humiliation. It was the feeling of being used, the feeling of being stupid for believing someone's words, the feeling of realizing you gave someone your trust, your plans, your hope, and they didn't even have the respect to say goodbye in person. She squeezed her phone tight. Then her screen lit up again. A new message, unknown number, just one sentence. Unknown, stop crying, people are watching, and don't tell anyone what happened. Aaliyah froze, her blood turned to ice. Because Jaden had vanished. So how did someone know she was crying right now, on this plane, at 30,000 feet? Her eyes darted across the cabin, passengers sleeping, a woman reading, a guy with headphones, the flight attendant in the galley. The man in 18 billion glancing forward. Nobody looked suspicious, but Aaliyah's heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. She typed back with trembling fingers, Aaliyah, who is this? The reply came immediately, unknown. Keep your phone off, and don't make a scene. Aaliyah's hands went cold. Her tears stopped, but not because she felt better, because fear had replaced them. And suddenly, the question wasn't just, why did Jaden leave me? It was, what did Jaden get me into? And why does someone on this plane know my name? Aaliyah turned her head slowly, scanning the rows. And for the first time since boarding, she felt like she wasn't alone. Not in a comforting way. In the worst way possible, someone was watching her, and whatever Jaden promised her, It wasn't love, it was a trap. Aaliyah didn't move. The phone felt heavier in her hands now, like it wasn't just glass and metal anymore, like it was proof that she wasn't imagining things. Someone knew she was crying, someone knew she was scared. And somehow they were close. She slid the phone face down onto her lap and forced herself to breathe normally. In, out, don't panic, don't panic. Her mom's voice echoed in her head. If anything feels wrong, you call me, immediately. But the message had been clear. Don't make a scene. She swallowed hard and slowly lifted her eyes again, scanning the cabin, this time more carefully. Row 17, a couple sleeping, heads leaned together. Row 18, her row. Row 19. A man in a hoodie typing on his laptop. Row 20, a woman rocking a baby. Everyone looked normal, too normal. Her heart was still racing when the man in seat 18 billion shifted again. He cleared his throat softly. Hey, he said, not looking at her at first. I'm sorry if this is weird, but are you traveling alone? Aaliyah's shoulders stiffened. She didn't answer right away. Her mind screamed, don't talk, don't trust anyone. But something about his voice wasn't pushy. It wasn't curious in a creepy way. It was careful, like he didn't want to scare her more than she already was. Yes, she finally said quietly. He nodded, still facing forward. First time flying, she hesitated. No, okay, a pause. First time flying when everything in your life feels like it's falling apart. Her head snapped toward him. He met her eyes then, not staring, not intense, just honest. I'm not trying to pry, he added quickly. I've been there. Aaliyah felt her throat tighten again. She looked away toward the window, blinking hard. I'm fine, she whispered, the automatic lie. He didn't argue. Instead, he said something that made her chest ache. You don't have to explain anything. I just wanted you to know, if you need help, you're not invisible. Invisible, that word hit harder than anything else. Because that was exactly how she'd felt when Jaden sent that message. Like she was disposable, easy to erase. The man reached into his bag slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a folded napkin. He placed it gently on the armrest between them. Just in case, he said. No pressure. Aaliyah stared at the napkin, then at him. Thank you, she murmured. He gave a small nod and leaned back, putting his headphones on, not to shut her out, but to give her space. That's when her phone buzzed again. Her stomach dropped. She glanced down. Unknown, I see you talking. I told you not to. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled as she typed back under the cover of her hoodie. Aaliyah, who are you? Why are you doing this? 3 dots appeared immediately, then vanished, then appeared again. Unknown, Jaden didn't tell you everything. Her chest tightened painfully. Aaliyah, where is he? This time the reply took longer. Long enough for fear to sink its teeth in. Unknown, that depends on you. Aaliyah's hands went numb. Depends on me how? She typed. Aaliyah, what do you want? The message came with brutal calm. Unknown, I want you to stay quiet. Follow instructions, and when we land, you walk off the plane alone. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Walk off the plane alone. She glanced at the man beside her, at the flight attendant chatting with another passenger. At the aisle she'd have to walk down eventually. She typed back fast. Aaliyah, if you're with Jaden, tell him to talk to me. I deserve that. The reply came instantly. Unknown, Jaden already made his choice. Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time they weren't just from heartbreak. They were from fear, because suddenly she understood something terrifying. Jaden hadn't just left her. He had handed her over. Her breathing became shallow. She hugged herself tightly, trying to stay grounded. The man in 18 billion noticed. He took off one ear cup slightly. You okay? He asked quietly. Aaliyah opened her mouth to say yes, but the word wouldn't come out. Instead, something else slipped through. No, it was barely audible, but it was honest. He looked at her then, really looked, and his expression changed. The casual kindness faded, replaced by something sharper, more alert. Are you in danger? He asked, low and steady. Aaliyah's eyes filled again. She shook her head, then nodded. I don't know, she whispered. Someone's texting me. They know I'm here. They know what I'm doing. He didn't react dramatically. No panic, no disbelief. He just said, show me. Her hands shook as she unlocked her phone and angled it toward him. He read the messages carefully, jaw tightening with every line. When he looked up, his voice was calm, but firm. Okay, he said, listen to me. You did the right thing telling someone. she sniffed. They told me not to. People who tell you to stay quiet are the ones who are afraid of being exposed, he replied. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. My name's Marcus. I work in airport security, off duty today, but that doesn't mean I can't help. Aaliyah's heart skipped. Security, she whispered. Yes, he met her eyes. And I need you to trust me right now. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown, I warned you. Marcus didn't even look at the screen this time. Flight attendant, he said softly. Now Aaliyah hesitated, fear screaming inside her, but then she remembered her mom. Call me immediately. She raised her hand. The attendant appeared within seconds. Yes, honey, Marcus spoke calmly, clearly. We need to speak to the captain. This passenger is receiving threatening messages mid-flight. The attendant's expression hardened instantly. I understand, she said. Please stay seated. As she turned toward the cockpit, Aaliyah's phone buzzed one last time. Unknown, you just made a very big mistake. Aaliyah stared at the screen, heart pounding. For the first time since Jaden disappeared, she wasn't crying because she missed him. She was crying because she realized the truth. Jaden never loved her, he used her, and whatever he was running from, it was now coming straight for her. The captain's voice never came over the speakers. That silence was worse than any announcement. Aaliyah sat frozen in seat 18A, fingers curled tight around the armrest, while the flight attendant disappeared behind the cockpit door. Marcus stayed beside her, posture straight now, no longer just a kind stranger, but someone on alert. Breathe, he whispered. Slow, you're safe right now. Right now. Her phone was dark, no new messages. That scared her more than the threats. Across the aisle, a man stood up to stretch. Aaliyah flinched. Marcus noticed. Eyes forward, he said gently. Don't scan the cabin. People who watch fear can feel it. She nodded, staring at the seat back in front of her like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Minutes passed, then the intercom crackled. Flight attendants to your stations. The tone was calm, too calm. The cart was locked. Seatbelt signs stayed on. The cabin felt tighter, like the walls had moved closer. The flight attendant returned, her face professional but pale. Miss, she said softly to Aaliyah, the captain would like you to remain seated after landing. Aaliyah's heart skipped. Why? Marcus answered for her. Did you run the manifest? Yes, the attendant replied. Twice. Aaliyah frowned. What's a manifest? Marcus leaned closer. The passenger list. And, Aaliyah asked. The attendant swallowed. There's a problem. Marcus's jaw tightened. Say it. There's a phone connected to the onboard network sending messages, the attendant said quietly, but the device isn't registered to any seat. Aaliyah's blood went cold. So, someone on this plane, she whispered. Yes, the attendant said, but according to the manifest, they don't exist. Aaliyah's ears rang. The passenger who wasn't on the list. Her phone vibrated. She almost screamed. Marcus put his hand over her screen before she could look. Wait, he nodded at the attendant. We need to isolate whoever's using the network. We are trying, the attendant said, but there's something else. She hesitated. What? Aaliyah asked. The attendant's eyes flicked around the cabin, then back to her. The messages stopped, she said, the moment we locked the cockpit. Aaliyah felt a wave of dread. That means they know, Marcus said. And they're adapting. The plane began its descent. The angle shifted. Ears popped. People stirred, unaware they were landing inside something dangerous. Aaliyah's phone lit up again, this time with a photo. Her breath caught. It was her. In the airport bathroom, sitting on the floor, crying. The timestamp was from that morning. She covered her mouth, tears spilling silently. They followed me, she whispered. Jaden, he followed me. Marcus stared at the photo, eyes dark. Or someone he worked with. Another message arrived. Unknown, I told you not to involve anyone. Unknown, you could have walked away. Unknown, now you'll answer questions. Aaliyah typed with shaking hands. Aaliyah, why me? The reply came slower this time. Unknown, because you trusted him. Unknown, and because trust opens doors. Her chest hurt like it might split open. Marcus, she whispered, what doors? Before he could answer, the man in the hoodie from row 19 stood up and walked toward the back, against the flow of landing procedures. Marcus's eyes snapped to him. Seat, Marcus called out, calm but firm. We are landing. The man didn't turn around. Aaliyah's phone buzzed one last time. Unknown, he's behind you. Marcus moved instantly, standing, blocking the aisle, hand raised toward the flight attendant. Cabin crew, he said clearly, we have a non-compliant passenger. The hoodie man stopped. Slowly, too slowly, he turned his head and smiled. It wasn't nervous, it wasn't angry, it was satisfied, like a game that had reached its favorite part. The plane's wheels hit the runway with a heavy thud. Applause broke out in the cabin. No one noticed the danger, except Aaliyah. Except Marcus, and the man who wasn't on the manifest. As the aircraft slowed, the hoodie man finally spoke. Relax, he said quietly. I'm just here to ask the girl a few questions. Marcus stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. Sit down now. The man's eyes flicked to Aaliyah. Jaden should have told you, he said. Love isn't free. Aaliyah's knees went weak, because in that moment she realized the truth. Jaden didn't disappear. He sold her out. And this flight was never about escape. It was about delivery. The plane rolled slowly toward the gate. Applause faded. Seatbelts clicked open. Passengers reached for bags, smiling, stretching, unaware that something poisonous had just landed with them. The man in the hoodie finally sat back down. Too calm, too patient, like he knew time was on his side. Marcus stayed standing, blocking the aisle, one hand resting casually on the seatback in front of Aaliyah, close enough to protect her, not close enough to alarm the cabin. Sir, Marcus said evenly, you'll remain seated until local authorities arrive. The hoodie man smirked. Authorities? He chuckled under his breath. You really think this is a police thing? Aaliyah's chest felt tight, like the air had thinned inside the plane. What do you want from me? She whispered, voice breaking. The man leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees, his eyes never left hers. I want what Jaden owes. Her heart sank. He told me you were innocent, the man continued. Said you didn't know anything, said you were just convenient. Aaliyah flinched like she'd been slapped. Convenient for what? She asked. The man smiled again, but this time there was irritation behind it. For carrying something he couldn't. Marcus turned his head sharply. She doesn't have anything. Oh, she does, the man replied calmly. She just doesn't know it yet. Aaliyah's mind raced. She remembered Jaden insisting on booking the tickets himself, insisting on checking her bag so it doesn't get lost, insisting she carry this backpack as a gift. Her hands trembled as she slowly reached down and touched the zipper at her feet. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Marcus followed her movement, eyes narrowing. What did he give you? Her voice came out hollow. A bag. The man nodded. There it is. Aaliyah felt sick. He said it was for my laptop, she said. He said he wanted to help me start school. The hoodie man laughed quietly. That's Jaden, always selling dreams to cover his debts. What debt? Marcus demanded. The man leaned back, crossing his arms. Jaden ran money for people who don't forgive mistakes. He lost something that wasn't his to lose. Aaliyah's tears returned, hot and unstoppable. So he used me, she whispered. He used me to fix his mess. Yes, the man said simply. You were the clean option, young, no record, no suspicion, in love. That last word hurt the most. The cabin door opened with a mechanical hiss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The announcement was cut short as two uniformed officers stepped on board, eyes scanning quickly. Marcus raised his hand. Here, the hoodie man sighed, standing slowly. This is unnecessary, one officer approached. Sir, we need you to come with us. The man glanced at Aaliyah one last time. You can still make this easy, he said softly. Tell them about the bag. Marcus turned sharply. She's not saying anything without counsel. Aaliyah felt dizzy. What's in it? She whispered. Marcus met her eyes, honest and steady. We don't know yet, but whatever it is, you didn't put it there. And that matters. The officers cuffed the hoodie man. As they led him away, he spoke over his shoulder. Jaden always said you were sweet, he said. Guess he was right. He disappeared down the aisle. The plane emptied slowly after that. Aaliyah stayed seated, shaking, while airport security arrived. Her bag was taken carefully, opened somewhere she couldn't see. Minutes passed. Then a woman in a dark suit approached her. Miss Brooks, she said gently, I'm Agent Harris. We need to ask you a few questions. Aaliyah nodded weakly. Am I in trouble? Agent Harris shook her head. No, you're a victim. The word hit her harder than she expected. A victim, not stupid, not weak, not disposable, a victim. Marcus squeezed her shoulder lightly. I'll stay. Agent Harris continued. What you were carrying wasn't drugs, it was information, encrypted storage, financial records. Aaliyah blinked. Records of what? Money laundering, Harris said. Jaden stole them, tried to move them out quietly. When he panicked, he handed the problem to you. Aaliyah let out a broken sob. I loved him, she whispered. Agent Harris's voice softened. People like Jaden don't love. They convince. Silence settled between them. Where is he now? Aaliyah asked. Agent Harris exchanged a look with another officer. Gone, she said, but not invisible anymore. Aaliyah stared at the empty aisle. For the first time, the tears slowed, not because the pain was gone, but because something else was growing underneath it. Clarity. Jaden hadn't disappeared because she wasn't enough. He disappeared because he was afraid. And she was done paying for his fear. Marcus stood. You did the bravest thing possible today, he said quietly. Aaliyah looked up at him, eyes red but steady. I didn't even know I was brave, she said. He smiled faintly. Most people don't, until they have no other choice. As she followed the agents off the plane, the girl who had boarded crying wasn't the same one who landed. Her heart was bruised, her trust was broken, but she was still standing. And somewhere out there, Jaden was running. The airport interview room was quieter than Aaliyah expected. No shouting, no bright lights, just a table, 2 chairs, and the soft hum of air conditioning that made everything feel unreal, like the last few hours had happened to someone else. Agent Harris slid a paper cup of water toward her. Take your time, she said. You're safe here. Safe. The word still felt strange in Aaliyah's mouth. Marcus stood near the wall, arms folded, watchful but relaxed now. Not because the danger was gone, but because it had changed. The threat was no longer on the plane. It was somewhere out there, running. Agent Harris opened a folder. Jaden Carter, she said. That's the name he used with you, correct? Aaliyah nodded. He's not new to this, Harris continued. Fake relationships, fast trust, emotional leverage. He gets close, moves assets, disappears. Aaliyah closed her eyes. Every memory replayed differently now. The compliments, the urgency, the promises that always came with pressure. It wasn't love, she whispered. No, Harris said gently. It was strategy. The door opened quietly. Another agent stepped in and whispered something to Harris. Harris looked back at Aaliyah. We traced the encrypted drive, she said, and we traced Jaden. Aaliyah's heart skipped. You found him? Not yet, Harris replied. But he made a mistake. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What kind? The kind people make when they think the person they hurt is still broken. Harris slid Aaliyah's phone across the table. It's your choice, she said. We don't need you to do this, but sometimes closure helps. Aaliyah stared at the screen. Jaden's contact name was still there. Jayden read. She swallowed hard. Message him, Harris said. Say nothing emotional. Just enough to make him respond. Aaliyah's hands shook. Marcus spoke softly. Only if you want to. She thought about the girl crying in the airport bathroom, the girl shaking on the plane, the girl who believed promises without protection. Then she thought about the girl sitting here now. I want to, Aaliyah said. She typed slowly. Aaliyah, I know what was in the bag. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Her stomach flipped. Jaden, I told you not to open it. Her chest tightened, but her voice stayed calm as she typed again. Aaliyah, they know it was yours. A pause, longer this time. Then Jaden, you promised you wouldn't talk to anyone. Aaliyah let out a shaky breath. That was it. Not are you okay? Not I'm sorry, not even I never meant to hurt you, just fear, just himself. Agent Harris nodded slightly. Keep going. Aaliyah typed the message that changed everything. Aaliyah, I'm not alone anymore. The typing bubble vanished. Then reappeared, then vanished again. Finally, Jaden, where are you? Aaliyah didn't answer. She looked up at Harris. That's enough. Harris smiled faintly. More than enough. 2 days later, Aaliyah sat on her mom's couch, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like home. Her mom moved quietly around the kitchen, pretending not to watch her too closely, but every few minutes, she glanced over like she needed to confirm her daughter was still there, still breathing, still real. Marcus had checked in earlier that day. Marcus, they got him, you did good. She stared at the message for a long time, then replied, Aaliyah, thank you for seeing me. His reply came fast. Marcus, you were never invisible. Aaliyah set the phone down and looked at her hands. They were steady now. The news came that evening. Jaden had been arrested in another state, trying to trade information he no longer controlled. The people he owed money to didn't protect him anymore, and for the first time his words didn't matter. The last message late that night, her phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. She knew who it was before she opened it. Jaden. I never meant for it to go this far. Aaliyah stared at the screen. Once that sentence would have broken her. Now it felt small. She typed her reply slowly, carefully, not angry, not begging, not crying, just true. Aaliyah. You didn't lose me because you disappeared. Aaliyah, you lost me because you chose yourself every time. She blocked the number, then she turned the phone off. Epilogue weeks later, Aaliyah boarded another plane, different airport, different destination, different reason. She wasn't running this time. She was going to enroll in a program she'd postponed for someone else's dream. She carried a new backpack, one she packed herself. As she walked down the aisle, she glanced at seat 18A, then smiled softly. Some stories end with love, some end with justice. Hers ended with something quieter but stronger, freedom. And somewhere high above the clouds, a girl who once cried silently on a plane finally learned this truth.